You spent 8 months designing with an architect. You love your design. You put it out to bid to 3 builders and the bids are coming back. They're all 30% over budget. Every option from here is bad. You can just pay the 30% extra. You can go back to the architect and redesign, and that means cutting things from your design that you love, or you pause everything and you don't move forward. This is not a rare story. It is somewhat the default of how this industry works. And I'm going to tell you why it keeps on happening and what a different process looks like. So just so we're clear, it's not the architect's fault. It's not the builder's fault. It's just the process itself. The traditional model has a sequence that goes like this. You hire an architect, they design. Once they get to a bid set, they send it out to 3 different builders and they price it. Both sides did their job. But see, there's a gap in there that nobody owns. There's a gap between design and the cost that neither side owns. And it doesn't show up until you get to the bid stage. After all the design fees have been paid and after you're emotionally committed to your design. And let's talk real numbers. If you have a $2 million budget for a home, a custom home, we're talking $400,000 to $600,000 over. Maybe you're doing a $700,000 remodel. That could easily be $140,000 over your budget. Ask nearly any architect. They would all love to have the builder involved early in the design process, but they fall into a routine of, I'm gonna design, then we get to a bid set, then we're gonna put it out to bid, and every time it comes in over budget. The system just keeps pulling everyone back to the same routine, the same broken sequence. And nobody owns the gap. And until somebody does, this will keep happening. We have a fix. It's one simple change. We put real cost knowledge inside the design process from day one, not at the bid stage, from the very first meeting. And the purpose is not to control design. It's not to cut things. We want the designers to design. The purpose is to catch problems or catch budget drift and correct them when the cost to correct them is essentially nothing. Let's say we're at schematic design, which is very early. The cost to making a slight adjustment to keep this thing on track with the budget is the cost of a conversation. If we get all the way to the bid stage, it's a lot of money and redesign fees, it's time, and it's the cost of some political capital with your design team. If we get all the way to the construction documents, and now we need to make some changes, that's disaster. That'll blow open the budget. See, in design, as you move through the design process, the window for protecting the budget closes. And it closes and closes and closes as you get through design. The bid stage is too late. And see, most builders don't enter this process until after that window shuts. We enter it before it ever opens. So let's talk about our blueprint program. The blueprint program is for custom homes, and it's before you've hired anybody. There's no architect involved yet. There's no design team. You're at the very early concept stages. You've got a property. This is the path. Okay, so the blueprint program it's one agreement spread across 4 phases, and you pay at each phase, and you're never committed beyond the current phase you're in. And what that means is, for us, is the burden is on us at each phase to provide the value and deliver the value for that phase. You don't trust us for the entire process blindly. 1 phase at a time through 4 phases. So let's talk about phase 1. Phase 1 is feasibility. The first thing we have to do is figure out what is possible on your property. We look at the site topography, we look at trees, we look at the permitting jurisdiction, the land development code. We discover everything that is possible and not possible on your site, and we provide a preliminary budget range for what you can expect to pay based on your scope and the constraints that exist on your property. Phase 2 is pre-design. That's where we introduce the actual design team. We introduce the architects, interior designers, structural engineers, any of the consultants and designers that you want on this project and that are appropriate for your project and your budget. We bring them onto the team at that time. That way, from the very beginning, the whole team is aligned. They're aligned on the scope, they're aligned on the budget, and we're aligned before significant design hours start to pile up. The idea is that you never pay for design ideas that don't fit your budget. Next, we get into design development, and that's where we manage and coordinate the design team from schematic design all the way through construction document. We provide price checks at the various milestones of design. We keep a written decision log about every decision that was made and why and how it impacted the design and how it impacted the price. And if at any point we identify that the design is trending over the budget, we make corrections before we get too far along and before too many hours are spent in the wrong direction. Okay, so we never reach that bid stage being $400,000 over budget, not even knowing. Stage 4 is pre-construction. That's our bid stage. We take your nearly complete design and we put it out to all of our subcontractors and suppliers. And we get pricing for your project so that we can present to you a fixed price contract, a single price for your project that we will build it for. At that time, you know what it's going to cost, you know what you're going to get, you know how long it's going to take, and then we move forward from there into construction. A couple of key points and things that are different. So as a design build firm, we don't design in-house. We bring third-party architects and interior designers onto the team. You contract with each independent contractor. You contract with the architect, you contract with the designers and the engineers and anybody that's involved, and you contract with us. This provides independent oversight at each step. They're keeping tabs on us during construction to make sure we're building what they designed, and we're keeping tabs on them during design to make sure what they're designing is going to fit the budget that you set. When you design in-house, you don't have that independent oversight. Everybody's inside the same company, and essentially in our model, nobody's grading their own homework. And then another thing is that we are a fixed price contractor, which means during the design process and during the pre-construction phase, we are providing ample data for you to make decisions on. But when we get to the time to start construction, we present a single number and a fixed price contract. The alternative is a cost plus builder, and cost plus builders at that stage provide you with an estimate of the construction costs and then add their percentage fee on top. That's typically 20 to 25%. The problem is they aren't beholden to their estimate of the construction cost. So for example, if it's a $2 million construction cost, they're gonna add 20% on top, so their fee is $400,000. But if the project grows and now it becomes a $2.2 million project, their fee just grew from $400,000 to $440,000. So you can see that your financial incentives and their financial incentives don't necessarily point in the same direction. So now let's talk about our renovation roadmap. This is very similar to the blueprint program, but for remodels and additions. It's the same philosophy, but it has a different starting point. Now we're looking at an existing home. And with an existing home, we need to know what we currently have. So in the first phase, which is called the discovery phase, we do feasibility, find out all the constraints from the jurisdiction, from the site, but we also need to find out exactly what's on the house and in the current structure. We do that with what are called as-built drawings. And those are CAD drawings that the architect can use of the existing home in its current condition so that we know now how to modify it or add on to it. It's important for us to know the canvas that we're working with from the beginning. So that happens in the first phase in addition to the feasibility report. Then we move into phase 2, which is the design, coordination, and pre-construction. It's the same idea. We build the design team, you contract with them individually. We work through design with them, providing price checks along the way. We get to the pre-construction phase and we put everything out to bid. We come back to you with a fixed price contract. And then phase 3 is construction. You know what you're getting, you know what you're gonna pay, you know how long it's gonna take. With remodels and additions, sometimes we run into unforeseen conditions. And those are things that when we get into construction and we start opening up existing walls and foundations and ceilings, we identify things that we couldn't see before. The idea is when we present that fixed price contract, we are pricing what we know. When we get into the project, we are going to uncover some things that we don't know. When that happens, we identify them, we communicate them immediately to you. We present you with options for how to move forward, and we don't do anything until we have written approval from you. So again, you always know what's coming. You always know what you're going to pay for it, and we never get to the end and we're sending you invoices for things that you didn't agree to. It's all in the contract. So what does this actually look like in practice? It starts with a phone call. We talk to each other. We figure out what it is you're wanting to do. We see if we're a good fit for you and our model's a good fit for you, and if you're a good fit for us and the project and the location and the scope. If we're not, we tell you. If we are, we move forward and we set up an on-site consultation, or we come to your home or we come to your site and we learn more about each other. We learn more about what it is you want to do, and we see all of what's existing there on the site. From there, we move into either the blueprint program or renovation roadmap, and we start on the feasibility, finding out everything that's possible and not possible on the property. If there's a remodel, we do the as-built drawings. We present all of that to you and a preliminary price range of what we expect it to cost based on what you've told us. If at that point you don't want to move forward, you don't move forward. You get to keep your feasibility report, you get to keep your as-built drawings, you get to keep anything that we did during that phase, that's yours. You decide to pick up the project in the future, you have something to start with already. Then we get into design. We build the design team. We move through the design process, and we provide price checks along the way. We keep everything on track. The train's moving in the right direction. We get to the pre-construction phase where we put everything out to bid. We come back with a fixed price contract. You know what you're gonna get, you know what you're gonna pay, and you know how long it's gonna take. If you agree with all that, we move into construction. Just to give you an example, while we were working on a custom home, and we were very early in the design phase, we were in schematic design, and based on where the house was positioned on the property and the topography of the property, we identified $180,000 overage on the foundation budget. We identified that if we continue down this path, what we're doing here is going to put us $180,000 over budget. But if we make some minor adjustments here, reposition the property, the house on the property, we can save that. And we did. And the homeowners preferred where we put it. We're happy to see the budget. The budget got to be spent in other priority areas, and we finished the project on budget and on schedule. And so this model works. It's not right for everyone. If you want to manage your own architect, you want to manage your own interior designer, and you want to manage your own engineers and then go find a builder and manage them, that's the traditional model. But just remember, no matter which path you take, there's that gap between the design itself and the actual cost to build that design. And just know who owns it. In our model, we own it. So whoever you plan to use, make sure you ask that question and know who owns the gap. Because if you don't know who owns it, you do.